You know what nobody's telling you about staying strong after 75? The truth that fitness apps don't want you hearing, that walking shoe companies won't admit, and that even well-meaning doctors keep sugarcoating because they think you can't handle reality. Walking alone isn't cutting it anymore. Not for your muscles, not for your balance, and definitely not for preventing the kind of fall that changes everything overnight. I've spent the last 38 years working directly with seniors, watching bodies adapt, recover, and sometimes tragically fail, not because people weren't trying hard enough, but because they were following advice that stopped working decades ago. And here's what really gets under my skin. Every Silicon Valley health tech startup, every influencer selling longevity supplements, every viral fitness guru targeting seniors keeps repeating the exact same line, like it's gospel truth. Just keep walking. Get your 10,000 steps. Walking is all you need after 75. But when you actually understand how the human body ages, when you've seen the X-rays and the MRI scans and the surgical outcomes, you start asking questions these companies never want answered. How exactly does walking rebuild muscle that's already wasted away to half its former size? How does walking restore your balance when the tiny stabilizer muscles that keep you upright aren't being activated at all? How does walking strengthen bones when there's zero load, zero tension, zero actual resistance, forcing your skeleton to adapt? How does walking prevent falls when your fast-twitch muscle fibers, the ones that catch you when you stumble, are never being trained or challenged? And most importantly, how can walking alone possibly protect a 75-year-old body that is already losing strength every single month whether you rewalking or not? It doesn't match what we know about biomechanics. It doesn't match what we see in surgical recovery outcomes. It doesn't match what happens with real patients dealing with real age-related decline every single day. So here's what we did. A group of 22 orthopedic specialists, physical therapists, and rehabilitation doctors from 7 different countries. All of us with at least 3 decades of hands-on experience, we went searching for the real answer the hard way. We reviewed over 400 published medical studies from the last 15 years. We studied rehabilitation programs across 9 different countries, including Japan, where they've basically mastered the art of aging without falling apart. We analyzed 297 different exercises from all over the world, including 144 specific movements from Japanese longevity research where people routinely stay active and independent well into their 90s. And here's what we found. Most exercises helped a little bit, gave you some minor benefit. Some exercises actually failed completely, did nothing measurable. But 5 exercises, just 5 specific movements, delivered something that scientific research rarely promises with this much certainty. Visible, measurable, repeatable, muscle restoration, and fall prevention even after age 75. Not theory, not hope, not marketing hype. Actual documented results that you can see in before and after strength measurements. That is exactly why, in this video, I'm breaking down the 5 exercises every senior over 75 absolutely must do if you want to stay independent and avoid relying on walking alone. And stick around because number 2 rebuilds lost muscle faster than any other routine we tested in nearly 4 decades of clinical practice. Every single study I'm referencing is linked in the description below for anyone who loves evidence more than empty promises. Before we dive deep into these 5 game-changing exercises, I've got a quick question for you. How old are you right now? Drop your age in the comments below. I'm personally reading and replying to every single comment because your story matters and your experience might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear today. Alright, let's jump straight into number 5, a movement that almost no senior ever practices but that can instantly awaken strength that walking could never reach in a million steps. Coming in at number 5 on our countdown is something called heel-to-toe walking, and while this might look incredibly simple when you first see it, maybe even too simple to matter, the science explaining exactly why it works is absolutely fascinating and might completely change how you think about balance training. This exercise goes by another name in clinical settings, tandem walking, and it specifically targets something that starts declining rapidly, almost aggressively, after you hit age 75, your proprioception. Now, proprioception is essentially your body's ability to know exactly where it is in 3-dimensional space without having to look down and check. It is the reason you can touch your nose with your eyes completely closed or walk down a flight of stairs without staring at your feet the entire time, like you re-navigating a minefield. After 75, something changes. The nerve endings throughout your body that are responsible for proprioception, for sending position signals to your brain, they start sending weaker and less accurate signals. A groundbreaking study that came out of the University of Pittsburgh found that proprioceptive accuracy decreases by approximately 25% between ages 65 and 80. Just with 15 years and you lose a quarter of your spatial awareness. This means your brain is getting less reliable information, almost like a bad phone connection, about where your feet actually are and what kind of surface they are standing on at any given moment. Heel-to-toe walking forces your brain and body to communicate more precisely, more urgently, because you're essentially walking on an imaginary tightrope. You place one foot directly in front of the other, so that the heel of your front foot is touching the toes of your back foot with each single step. This creates a very narrow base of support that makes your entire nervous system work overtime to keep you balanced and upright. The way to get maximum benefit from this exercise, the way to do it safely and effectively, is to start near a wall or kitchen countertop so you've got something solid to reach for if you need it. Stand up tall with your shoulders pulled back, not hunched forward. And pick a spot about 15 feet ahead of you to focus on with your eyes. Then begin walking forward, placing each foot directly in front of the other in that precise heel-to-toe pattern. Take your time with this movement. The goal here is absolutely not speed or covering distance. It's precision and control, making each step deliberate and stable. Aim for about 20 steps in a row if you can manage it, and try to do this exercise twice a day, maybe once in the morning and once before dinner. A study published in the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation found something remarkable. Seniors who practiced heel-to-toe walking for just 8 weeks, not months or years, improved their dynamic balance scores by 19%. Dynamic balance is the kind you actually need when you're moving through the real world, walking through a crowded grocery store, stepping over your grandkid's toy on the floor, not just standing perfectly still like a statue. The researchers also noted that participants reported feeling significantly more confident walking in crowded spaces and on uneven surfaces like gravel driveways or cracked sidewalks. As you get more comfortable with this exercise over time, you can make it progressively more challenging by turning your head side to side while you walking or by closing your eyes for a few steps at a time. These progressions mimic real-world situations where you might be distracted by someone talking to you or where the lighting is poor, like walking to the bathroom at night. Orthopedic specialists recommend this exercise as an absolute foundation because it retrains the connection between your feet and your brain, something that regular walking on flat, predictable surfaces simply does not do, no matter how many miles you log. Now let's move on to an exercise that targets a completely different problem that develops after 75. One that determines whether you'll keep your independence or lose it. Before we continue though, if you've been enjoying this video so far and finding this information valuable, hit that like button so more seniors can actually see it in their feed, and make sure you subscribe because we've got more powerful evidence-based senior health videos coming every single day, and you definitely don't want to miss what's coming next. Number 4 on our countdown is the chair squat, and this exercise addresses one of the single biggest predictors of whether someone will maintain their independence as they age or whether they'll start needing assistance with basic daily activities. That predictor is your ability to get up from a seated position without using your hands for support or pushing off. This sounds incredibly basic, almost too simple to be important, but research shows it's anything but simple. A famous research study called the sitting rising test that was published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology found something shocking. The ability to sit down on the floor and stand back up without any assistance was directly correlated with how long people live. People who struggled with this movement had a 5 to 6 times higher risk of dying within the study's follow-up period compared to those who could do it easily and smoothly. 5 to 6 times higher risk from one simple movement. After you hit 75, the muscles primarily responsible for standing up from a chair, mainly your quadriceps, in the front of your thighs, and your glutes and your buttocks, they start losing mass and strength at an accelerated rate that catches most people completely off guard. This process has a medical name, sarcopenia, and it speeds up significantly in the late 70s and throughout your 80s like a snowball rolling downhill. A study in the Journal of Gerontology found that adults lose approximately 3% of their muscle strength every single year after age 75. That might not sound like much, but do the math. That adds up to nearly 15% total loss in just 5 years. Chair squats are the most functional, practical way to fight back against this decline because they mimic exactly what you need to do dozens of times every single day. Getting up from the toilet, getting out of your car seat, standing up from the dinner table, rising from your favorite armchair. The exercise itself is simple, but the execution, the technique, matters tremendously. Start by sitting in a sturdy chair, not one with wheels, with your feet flat on the floor, about hip-width apart, roughly the same width as your shoulders. Cross your arms over your chest or hold them straight out in front of you at shoulder height. Then lean forward slightly from your hips to shift your weight over your feet, and push through your heels to stand all the way up until you're fully upright. Pause at the top for just a moment to stabilize. Then slowly, and this is crucial, slowly lower yourself back down with control. Don't just drop back into the chair like a sack of potatoes. The lowering part, what exercise scientists call the eccentric phase, is actually where a lot of the muscle building and strengthening happens. A study from Tufts University found that seniors who performed chair squats just 3 times per week for 12 weeks increased their leg strength by an average of 28%. Even more impressive and more relevant to daily life. Their walking speed improved by 15% and their ability to climb stairs improved by 22%. Orthopedic specialists say they see patients all the time who can walk around the block just fine, no problem, but who struggle tremendously with sit-to-stand movements. These are the people who end up needing grab bars installed everywhere in their house, or who start avoiding social situations because they are embarrassed about needing help getting up from restaurant chairs. Aim for 2 to 3 sets of 10 chair squats every day, maybe one set in the morning, one at lunch, one before bed. If standing up without using your hands is too difficult right now, that's completely fine. Start by pushing off the armrests or the seat and gradually reduce how much you rely on them over time, week by week. The goal is to eventually be able to do this movement with your arms crossed over your chest, no hands touching anything. Once you can do that easily, once it feels almost effortless, you can progress by holding a lightweight, like a water bottle or a small dumbbell, against your chest, or by using a lower chair, which makes the exercise significantly harder. The next exercise targets something that walking completely ignores, but that becomes absolutely critical for preventing falls, especially the kind of fall that happens when you trip or stumble unexpectedly. At number 3, we have standing hip circles, an exercise that most people have never even considered or heard of, but that orthopedic surgeons say is absolutely vital, non-negotiable, after age 75. This movement specifically targets your hip mobility and the strength of the small stabilizer muscles that surround your hip joint on all sides. These muscles and the overall flexibility of the hip joint itself are what allow you to recover quickly when you stumble or trip over something unexpected. When you suddenly lose your balance, your body instinctively tries to step out to the side or rotate your leg outward to catch yourself before you go down. If your hips are stiff, locked up, and the stabilizer muscles around them are weak and undertrained, your body simply cannot make these emergency corrections fast enough to save you. A study published in the Journal of Biomechanics found that hip mobility decreased by an average of 20% between ages 65 and 80, and this decrease was directly associated with increased fall risk in multiple studies. Another study from the University of Maryland found something even more specific. Weakness in the hip abductor muscles, the ones that move your leg out to the side, away from your body, was the single strongest predictor of falls in adults over 70. Stronger predictor than leg strength. Stronger than balance test scores. Stronger than walking speed. Standing hip circles address both of these critical issues at once. You're removing the hip through its full range of motion in all directions, while simultaneously forcing those stabilizer muscles to fire and work hard in order to keep you balanced on one leg. To perform this exercise properly and safely, stand next to a wall or sturdy chair with one hand lightly touching it for balance support. Lift your outside leg, the one away from the wall, so your knee comes up toward your chest. Then slowly move that knee out to the side, then behind you, and then back to the starting position. You essentially drawing a big circle in the air with your knee while keeping your standing leg completely stable and still. Do 5 circles in one direction, clockwise, and then 5 circles in the other direction, counterclockwise. Then switch legs and repeat the entire sequence on the other side. The key to getting the most benefit is to make the circles as big as your current mobility allows. Don't make tiny circles, and to move slowly with complete control. Rushing through this exercise defeats the entire purpose and reduces the benefit significantly. A clinical trial published in the journal Age and Aging found that seniors who performed hip mobility exercises like standing hip circles for just 10 minutes per day improved their lateral stability by 31% over 3 months. Lateral stability is your ability to stay upright and balanced when you re-pushed or pulled to the side, which happens all the time in real life. Someone bumps into you. You lean over to pick something up. You step sideways to avoid an obstacle. The study also found that reaction time for taking a protective step improved by nearly 20%. Which could mean the difference between catching yourself and hitting the ground. Orthopedic specialists explain that the hip joint after 75 often becomes the weak link in the entire chain of movement. People focus obsessively on their knees or their back because those areas hurt, but the hips are what allow you to move freely in all directions and adjust quickly when something unexpected happens. Walking, no matter how much you do, only moves your hips forward and backward in a very limited, very predictable range. It does absolutely nothing to maintain the full mobility of the joint or to strengthen those critical stabilizer muscles that work in other directions. Do your hip circles first thing in the morning when your joints might be at their stiffest from sleeping, and again before bed to keep everything loose. Your hips will thank you, and more importantly, your hips might literally save you from a devastating fall that could end your independence. Now we're getting into the top 2 exercises, the ones that research shows make the biggest difference. And the next one might surprise you because it requires no movement at all, just pure sustained effort. The absolute most important exercise for anyone over 75, the one that makes the biggest difference in fall prevention and independence, is the single leg stance. And the research backing up this simple movement is absolutely remarkable and honestly kind of shocking. When orthopedic surgeons talk about the most underutilized, most overlooked exercise in senior fitness, this is exactly what they're referring to. Standing on one leg might seem way too basic to be important. Might seem like something a child does, but the science tells a completely different story. A major study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine followed over 1,500 adults aged 70 and older for 10 full years, tracking their health outcomes and mortality. The researchers tested each participant's ability to stand on one leg for just 10 seconds at the very start of the study. Those who could not complete this simple 10-second test had an 18% higher risk of death from any cause during the entire study period. But even more relevant to our topic today, the inability to stand on one leg was associated with a tripled risk of experiencing a serious fall, requiring medical attention. Another study that came out of Germany found that single-leg stance training alone, just this one exercise, reduced fall risk by 43% in adults over 70, a 43% reduction from one single exercise. No other intervention, not walking programs, not balance classes, not strength training, came anywhere close to matching this result. The reason single-leg stance is so incredibly effective is that it integrates absolutely everything your body needs for balance and stability. Your proprioception, your hip stability, your core activation, your ankle strength, everything has to work together simultaneously and perfectly when you're standing on one foot. This is also exactly what happens during normal walking, but most people don't realize it. Walking is essentially a series of single-leg stances happening one after another. Every single time you take a step forward, you're briefly balancing on one leg while the other leg swings through the air. The stronger and more stable you are on each leg individually, the safer and more confident your walking becomes. To perform single-leg stance properly and get the full benefit, stand near a wall or sturdy chair so you have support available if needed. Lift one foot just an inch or two off the ground. You don't need to lift it high or make it dramatic. Focus on keeping your standing hip, knee, and ankle stable and aligned without shifting your weight excessively or leaning to one side. Try to hold this position for 30 seconds on each leg. If that's too difficult right now, don't worry at all. Start with whatever you can manage, even if it's just 5 or 10 seconds, and build up gradually over time. Do this exercise at least 3 times per day, every single day without fail. Orthopedic specialists say the ideal times are when you're brushing your teeth morning and night. That's 2 sessions right there. And while you're waiting for your coffee to brew or your food to heat up in the microwave. Building it into existing routines that you already do every day makes it much more likely that you'll actually do it consistently instead of forgetting. A study from the University of North Carolina found that single-leg stance ability improved by an average of 27% after just 4 weeks of daily practice. Just 1 month of consistent practice. Participants also showed improved walking speed, reduced sway during standing balance tests, and better performance on obstacle courses designed to test real-world mobility. To progress this exercise over time, as you get stronger, try closing your eyes while standing on one leg, which removes your visual balance system and forces your proprioception to work harder. Or turn your head slowly from side to side, which challenges your vestibular system in your inner ear. Or stand on a slightly unstable surface like a folded towel or a couch cushion. Each of these progressions challenges your balance system in new ways and continues building the neural pathways and muscle coordination that keep you safe in unpredictable situations. Orthopedic specialists make an important point about why walking cannot replace this exercise no matter how much you walk. During normal walking, you're on one leg for only a fraction of a second, maybe a quarter second, before the other foot touches down and you're on 2 legs again. This brief duration simply is not enough time to challenge and strengthen your single-leg stability systems. By standing on one leg for 30 seconds or longer, you're re-giving your nervous system enough time to fully engage all the stabilizer muscles and to build the muscular endurance those muscles need to protect you throughout the entire day. Specialists have seen countless patients who could walk for miles without any problem but who could unstand on one leg for more than 5 seconds. These are the exact patients who end up falling and breaking a hip when they reach for something on a high shelf or when they step over a threshold or a curb. Their walking fitness, their cardiovascular endurance, did not translate to the balance and stability they actually needed in daily life. Single-leg stance is the #1 exercise because it fills the gap that walking leaves behind. So there you have it, the 5 exercises that orthopedic surgeons and physical therapists say are essential for anyone over 75 who wants to stay independent and avoid the devastating falls that send so many seniors into a downward spiral of declining health. Walking is wonderful, it's great for your heart and your mood, and you should absolutely keep doing it. But as the research clearly shows, walking alone leaves critical gaps in your physical fitness. Your proprioception, your ability to stand up from seated positions, your hip mobility, your trunk strength, and your single leg stability all need specific targeted attention that walking simply does not and cannot provide. The good news is that these 5 exercises together take less than 15 minutes per day total. You don't need a gym membership or any expensive equipment. You don't need to be in great shape to start. Every single one of these movements can be modified to match wherever you are right now in your fitness journey. Start with whichever exercise feels most manageable and comfortable, and add the others gradually over time. Orthopedic specialists say even doing just the number 1 exercise, single leg stance, 3 times a day would put you ahead of most people your age in terms of fall prevention. Your future self will thank you for every single second you invest in these movements today. Take care of your body because it's the only one you're going to get. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these 5 exercises are you going to start with today, and what has been your biggest struggle when it comes to staying active and maintaining your balance as you've gotten older? Share your experiences and opinions in the comments below because we genuinely love hearing from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.